Elden Ring Nightreign is just a few days away. Before you know it, we'll be running around Limveld as Wilder, Guardian, and Raider, searching for epic weapons, exploring the backstories of the main characters, and hunting down Night Lords. And along the way, we'll be treated to one of the game's trademark features, the return of some classic bosses from FromSoftware's extensive catalog. So while we wait for release, let's count down the 5 bosses I'm hoping to see in Elden Ring Nightreign. Elden Ring featured quite a few excellent double boss fights. The Godskin duo comes to mind, as well as the Lion-Eye Misbegotten and the Crucible Knight. But there's no double boss fight more iconic than Ornstein Smoke, the tag team champions of Lothric, who come in at number 1 on my list. Even here in 2025, this big man speedster combo is still giving people fits. I can only imagine the damage they do with an updated, modernized moveset. I'll be hoping to see them on the path to one of the later Night Lords, or maybe even in the lead up to the Night's King himself. Next up, sticking with Dark Souls 1 bosses, I'd love to see the Gaping Dragon make a return. Gaping Dragon is another trademark FromSoftware character, but for far different reasons than ONS. Gaping Dragon, with its pathetic, devolved appearance, speaks to the unique design priorities and creative ethos of Miyazaki and company better than just about any other boss I can think of. It also spawned this now infamous quote about the kind of art direction the team values in its games. If Nightreign is going to feature a collection of some of FromSoftware's best and most well-known adversaries, then surely there has to be room for the Gaping Dragon. If he shows up, I think we'll see him in the lead-up to one of the earlier Night Lords, possibly on the path to fighting the dragon with the separated jaw we've seen in a few trailers. It would certainly be thematically appropriate. Jumping ahead on the Soulsborne timeline a bit, the third boss I'd love to see in Nightreign is another duo, and my personal favorite boss in the company's catalog, Lorien and Lothric from Dark Souls 3. Unless you're exceptionally skilled at these games, there's probably at least 1 or 2 boss fights in Dark Souls, Bloodborne, or Elden Ring that kept you stuck for a significant amount of time. A boss you just couldn't tackle, that kept you up at night screaming at the TV screen and scouring the internet for the perfect tip or trick to help you come out on top. For me, that's Lorien and Lothric. Dark Souls 3 was my first FromSoftware game, and these strangely incestuous brothers had my number for literally 2 weeks. I tried everything. Well, almost everything. I was too much of a noob at that point to figure out how to summon and help, but looking back, I'm glad I didn't. Because after about 14 days of banging my head against a wall, I finally beat them, and as the words Lords of Cinder Fallen flashed across my screen, I understood at last why people love this series so much. There's just nothing like slaying a boss that's been kicking your ass for days on end. The rush of adrenaline, the knowledge of how close you were to losing again, and the sweet sight of a ton of souls in your inventory. It's all so worth it. For me personally, it'd be great to see them show up in Limveld. Since they're kind of a big deal, I think it makes sense to save them as a boss on the way to one of the later Night Lords, just like I said with Ornstein and Smoke. So far, I've covered a legendary boss duo, a boss that represents FromSoftware's design ethos, and a boss that I have a personal connection with. So for the 4th boss I'd like to see in Nightreign, let's talk about one that embodies where the Soulsborne series would go from a gameplay perspective, Artorius the Abyss Walker. Artorius, as I argued in my video on him from last year, is really more of a Bloodborne fight than a Dark Souls fight. Just like the Hunter duels from that game, he's fast, relentless, and dodging is far more effective than your armor. You can tank plenty of boss fights in Dark Souls 1. It's a bit harder to tank Artorius. And if you thought he was hard when we fought him in Ulasil, then imagine how difficult he'd be here in Limveld with an upgraded moveset. He was fast as hell in 2011, and in the years since, these games have only gotten faster, so I'd love to see what the Nightreign team would do with him here in 2025. It'd be great to see Artorius at the midway point of our journey through the game, as a bit of a treat to reward us for making it so far through the dangerous night. And finally, the last boss I'd love to see in Nightreign is one we haven't heard from in a very long time. General Rodon. What, you mean you don't want to see the famed Red Lion for a 3rd time? In all seriousness, I would really love to see Rodon show up in Nightreign. As other folks have covered in detail, Nightreign shares its background lore with Elden Ring. The Shattering happened in both worlds, for example, but after that cataclysmic event, their timelines diverged. This, of course, means that Rodon was around and kicking ass on the battlefield in both the main game's version of events and Nightreign's. And introducing Rodon in some way, shape, or form would be a great way to show how Nightreign's lore differs from that of the base game. Maybe we'll see Rodon at the height of his power, but with gravity-focused powers, the way he was after he became the Star Scourge, but before he was corrupted by the power of the Great Rune. And considering we've seen Rodon in every incarnation of Elden Ring so far, it just makes sense that we'd find him in Limveld, reminding us why he was the mightiest demigod of the Shattering. And there you have it, folks. 5 bosses I'd love to see in Nightreign. Do you agree with my list? Are there other bosses you're hoping to see when the game drops on May 30th? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching. Huge shout out to my Elden Ring collaborator Moonlapse Piano, whose music appears in this video. To check out all of his incredible music, just follow the links down below in the description box. Big shout out to all my Silver and Gold tier YouTube channel members and Patreon subscribers, including James Pruitt, Little Caesar, Reed, Pathonian, Anna Novikova, and Sean Bobby, who get early access to these videos thanks to donations of $5 to $10 a month. See you guys next time, and go birds!